Most people in this world are quick to often criticize when some people make certain decisions in their lives. They never put themselves in the victim's shoes to understand their reasons. Would you blame this bride for her decision? Let's find out. Before we continue, please hit the subscribe button to support this channel, and you should also turn on the notification bell for more inspiring stories. Thank you. The venue was bustling with the energy of an impending wedding. Guests laughed and chatted, the air filled with the aroma of fresh flowers. Emma stood in her bridal suite, adjusting her veil with trembling hands. Her sister, Lucy, noticed her unease. Emma is a marketing strategist for a well-established advertising agency. Her role involves creating and executing innovative campaigns for high-profile clients, leveraging her sharp analytical skills and creative vision. Emma has always been passionate about storytelling and branding, which made her a rising star in the competitive industry. Emma and Tom had dated for 5 years, building a life together that seemed destined for forever. They had shared dreams, late-night conversations about their future, and a bond that Emma had believed was unbreakable. She had poured her heart and soul into their relationship, often prioritizing Tom's ambitions over her own. "Are you okay, Emma?" Lucy asked, her voice filled with concern. Emma hesitated, then sighed. "I don't know, Lucy. Something feels off." Before Lucy could respond, there was a knock at the door. It was Tom, the groom, looking pale and hesitant. Emma's heart skipped a beat as he asked to speak with her alone. "I'll leave you two," Lucy said reluctantly, glancing between them. When the door closed, Tom took Emma's hands, his eyes filled with guilt. "Emma," he began, his voice shaking, "there's something I need to tell you before we go through with this." Emma's stomach churned. "Tom, what is it?" Tom confessed that during a rough patch in their relationship, he had made a mistake, a fleeting affair with a coworker, Jessica, 6 months ago. He had ended it immediately and thought he could bury it, but the guilt had been eating him alive. Emma froze, her mind racing. She pulled her hands away, her breath uneven. "Why are you telling me this now, Tom? Why not before?" Tom's voice cracked. "I couldn't live with myself if I started our life together with this lie. I love you, Emma, and I'll do anything to make this right." Emma stared at him, tears welling in her eyes. "You've destroyed everything, Tom. How could you?" Downstairs, the guests were growing restless. Whispers filled the room as the delay stretched on. Lucy, sensing something was wrong, entered the bridal suite and found Emma sobbing. "What happened?" Lucy demanded, glaring at Tom. Emma could barely speak through her tears. "He cheated, Lucy." "Before the proposal." Lucy's face hardened as she turned to Tom. "You need to leave." Tom pleaded with Emma. "Please, don't make a decision right now. Talk to me, Emma." But Emma shook her head. "I need time to think." "You need to go." Tom left reluctantly, and Emma collapsed into Lucy's arms. The wedding was postponed, their families apologized to the guests citing some differences that would be resolved later, and Emma retreated to her family home to process what had happened. Tom tried to reach out multiple times, but Emma ignored him, focusing on her own healing. Weeks later, Tom sent Emma a heartfelt letter, admitting his fault and expressing his deep remorse. He vowed to give her the space she needed, even if it meant losing her forever. Emma read the letter in her room, her heart torn. Lucy found her there and asked, "What are you going to do?" "I don't know," Emma whispered. "He betrayed me, but he also confessed when he didn't have to." "Does that mean something?" Lucy sat beside her. "It means he regrets it. But it's up to you whether you can forgive him. You deserve someone who values you completely." Emma decided to meet Tom to hear him out. They met at a quiet cafe, the tension thick between them. "Why did you wait until the wedding day to tell me?" Emma asked, her voice calm but firm. Tom looked her in the eyes. "Because I was a coward. I kept telling myself it wouldn't matter if you never knew, but I realized it wasn't fair to you. I couldn't start our life with a lie." Emma steadied him, searching for sincerity. Do you understand how much you've hurt me? I do, Tom said. And I'll spend the rest of my life proving that I'll never hurt you again, if you let me. Emma took a deep breath. I need more time. I can't decide this now. After a few weeks, one day, Emma invited Tom to meet her at the park where he had proposed. She looked at him, her decision clear in her heart. I'm not ready to trust you again, she said, her voice steady. But I believe people can change. I need to take this slow, and I need to see that you mean what you say. Tom nodded, tears in his eyes. I'll wait as long as it takes, Emma. I love you. Their journey toward reconciliation was not easy, but it was honest and deliberate. They learned to communicate, to be vulnerable, and to rebuild what was broken. The news of Tom's betrayal had already left Emma reeling, and she is still trying to come out of it all, even though they both started their journey into reconciliation. But just a month after calling off the wedding, Emma received another gut-wrenching revelation. She was sitting in her apartment, surrounded by unopened wedding gifts she still hadn't mustered the strength to return, when her phone buzzed with a message from a mutual friend. Emma, I don't know how to tell you this, but you need to know. Tom's coworker, Jessica, is pregnant. It's his. The words stared back at her, each one a dagger piercing deeper into the fragile shell she was trying to rebuild. Emma's hands trembled as she clutched her phone, unable to process the full weight of what she had just read. Later that evening, Tom showed up at her door, his face pale and drawn. He had heard that Emma knew, and his guilt was palpable. Emma, I need to explain, he began, his voice thick with emotion. Explain what, Tom? Emma interrupted, her voice sharp and trembling. That while I was planning our wedding, you were creating a life with someone else? Or that I gave you everything I had, and you threw it away for, what? A fling? Tom ran a hand through his hair, his shame evident. It wasn't like that. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Jessica and I. Don't, Emma snapped, her eyes blazing. Don't stand there and justify it. I gave you 5 years of my life, Tom. 5 years of love, trust, and sacrifice. I turned down career opportunities to stay in this city for you. I chose us every single day, and this is how you repay me? Tom lowered his head, unable to meet her gaze. I was devastated when I found out about the affair, Emma continued, her voice breaking. But now I realize I was holding onto an illusion. You weren't the man I thought you were. Maybe you never were. Emma, I'm so sorry, Tom said softly, tears glistening in his eyes. I'll spend the rest of my life regretting what I did. Good, Emma replied coldly. Because I'll spend the rest of mine learning to forgive myself for wasting so much time on someone who didn't deserve me. She shut the door in his face, her heart shattering anew. In the days that followed, Emma allowed herself to grieve, not just the loss of their relationship, but also the dreams and sacrifices she had tied to it. She journaled about the pain, revisited old memories with a bittersweet lens, and slowly began to dismantle the life she had built around Tom. Her regret was immense, but it was also transformative. Emma realized that she hadn't just been mourning Tom's betrayal, she had been mourning the version of herself who had ignored her own needs and desires for the sake of their relationship. Jessica's pregnancy became a turning point, not just in the scandal that rocked Tom's life, but in Emma's journey toward healing. She began to see the betrayal as a harsh but necessary wake-up call to prioritize herself. Over the next few months, Emma focused on herself, attending therapy and leaning on her support system. Tom respected her space, working on his own flaws and proving his commitment through actions, not just words. After Jessica gave birth to her baby, the dynamics between her and Tom became increasingly strained. Tom attempted to step up and be present for Jessica and their child, but the weight of their actions, and the circumstances under which their relationship began, made it difficult for either of them to truly move forward. They moved in together briefly, but it was more out of obligation than love. Tom's career faced fallout after news of his affair and Jessica's pregnancy spread through their workplace. Rumors swirled about how he had betrayed Emma and the ethics of his relationship with Jessica, who was a subordinate. While the company avoided making a public scandal, Tom's reputation was irreparably damaged among colleagues. He eventually left the company, claiming it was to focus on his new responsibilities as a father, but many believed he had been quietly pushed out. Jessica, meanwhile, struggled with the reality of co-parenting with Tom. While they tried to maintain civility for the sake of their child, it became clear that their relationship was built on shaky ground. They officially parted ways the year after the baby was born, agreeing to co-parent but keeping their personal lives separate. Months turned into years, and while their relationship had scars, it was more devastating for Emma and for the trials they had faced. Emma tries to find herself some peace, knowing she had made the right decision for herself, no matter the outcome. Emma had chosen not to rekindle her romance with Tom. While his actions had shown genuine remorse, she realized that trust, once shattered, might never be fully restored. It wasn't out of bitterness or anger, but out of a deep respect for herself and the future she envisioned. She pursued her passions, starting a nonprofit that focused on empowering women who faced emotional and relational challenges. Through her work, she became a beacon of resilience and courage, sharing her story to inspire others to prioritize their own well-being and self-respect. Before the breakup with Tom, Emma had poured much of her energy into her work, often balancing long hours with her personal life. However, after the relationship ended, she began channeling her emotions into her career more deeply, using the creative outlet to rediscover her self-worth. Tom, on the other hand, took the pain of their separation as a catalyst for change. He delved into therapy and eventually started a program advocating for honesty and accountability in relationships, sharing his own mistakes as a cautionary tale. One day, their paths crossed unexpectedly at an event where Emma was the keynote speaker. Tom listened intently to her speech, moved by the grace and wisdom she exuded. Afterward, he approached her cautiously, unsure if she would even want to speak to him. "Emma," he began, his voice soft, "you're incredible. I always knew that, but seeing you now, I'm so proud of who you've become." Emma smiled, her expression warm but distant. "Thank you, Tom. And I hope you found your path too." They parted ways that night with no promises of rekindling, only mutual respect for the growth they had both achieved. As Emma walked away, she felt a profound sense of closure. Her life was not defined by the pain of betrayal, but by the strength she had cultivated in its aftermath. She had chosen herself, and that decision had unlocked a world of possibilities she never thought possible. One calm evening, Emma is seen at the park. She found herself reflecting on that tumultuous time in her life. She stood at the park where Tom had proposed, now holding a journal she had filled with lessons from her journey. The park, once a symbol of heartbreak, now represented hope, healing, and a future that was entirely her own. Emma smiled to herself, knowing she had rewritten her story, not as a victim but as a survivor who had chosen to thrive. Years later, Emma would look back on that period with a mix of sadness and gratitude. While it had been excruciating, it had also taught her the invaluable lesson of self-worth. And for that, she would never regret walking away. For Emma, although moving on was a deeply personal journey. But after shutting the door on Tom, she focused on rebuilding her life. She threw herself into her work, accepting a promotion that required her to relocate to a new city. The fresh start was exactly what she needed, a chance to create a life free from the shadows of her past. While Emma wasn't actively seeking love, it found her in the most unexpected way. 3 years after ending things with Tom, she met a man named Ryan at a charity event. He was kind, compassionate, and respected her independence. Their relationship grew slowly and organically, built on mutual trust and understanding, qualities Emma now valued above all else. In the end, Emma found a happiness she hadn't thought possible, not just in her relationship with Ryan but in herself. She learned to set boundaries, prioritize her needs, and embrace the lessons her heartbreak had taught her. In her new role, Emma thrived. She developed campaigns that garnered industry recognition, earning her several awards and a reputation as a visionary leader. Beyond the professional accolades, Emma found a new sense of purpose, mentoring young professionals in her field and advocating for workplace inclusivity and diversity. This gave her life a richness she hadn't anticipated, proving that success wasn't just about climbing the corporate ladder, but also about lifting others along the way. As for Tom, he remained involved in his child's life, but struggled to regain the stability and respect he had once enjoyed. The decisions he had made continued to haunt him, serving as a constant reminder of what he had lost. Jessica eventually found her footing as a single mother, focusing on her career and her child. While her relationship with Tom had not worked out, she took pride in being a strong and loving parent. Time, as it often does, allowed all of them to heal in their own ways. Emma's journey was one of growth and rediscovery, proving that even the deepest wounds could lead to strength and a brighter future. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to Home of Stories TV. And do not forget to turn on the notification bell for more inspiring stories. Drop your comments below, let us know your thoughts.